welcome to another episode of AI Innovators Podcast by Salad. Today we have with us Daniel Marcous. Daniel is the CTO of GetApril.com, which is, as I understand, AI for tax preparation, which is a very, very interesting topic and also something that is going to help thousands and thousands of everyday folks. And previously, before this, Daniel was CTO at Waze and also head of data science at Google. Welcome to the podcast, Daniel. I've given an intro. Let's hear it from you on your career journey.
Awesome. So I'm Daniel. Nice to meet you, everyone. Currently, I've co-founded a company which I serve as CTO. The company is called April, and what we're doing is embedded taxes. So we offer tax solutions powered by AI for financial institutions like banks, payroll companies, fintechs to offer to their clients. And we have a suite of applications which virtually becomes your virtual CPA, sort of say. And it can do things like tax planning, tax optimization, tax filing, so on. And as we'll probably talk about in the future, powered by AI. And a lot of what I use to build that is driven from my past experience of doing AI and data science in Google and Waze.
That's quite an interesting journey that you had there, right? Like, because Waze, everyone's very familiar with Waze, right? Like, so that also, you were solving problems that most everyday people hate, which is traffic. And then you switch from there to solving another problem that most everyday people hate, which is taxes. What's been the most interesting part of using technology to solve problem for the everyday person at scale?
Very good question. So I'd say that something that I find very motivating personally is to wake up to something that helps a lot of people as in individuals, and helping them in something that's impactful on their lives and they feel very strong about. So people feel very strong about how they use their time, and helping solve traffic is really important for saving people time. And having said that, I really enjoyed my time and learnings from my experience in Waze and Google. And I said, if I'm going to do something else, it's going to be something that I'm going to start from scratch. It's going to be completely mine, and I need to have a mission that's even bigger than that. So now I want to save people time and money. So that's like my motivation for April and how to solve taxes in order to help people save time and money. You shouldn't think about your taxes. We should do them for you.
I think at this rate, you're going to be sort of a superhero for the everyday person, because you are solving problems that everyone always complains about. One of the things that was interesting that popped out was when I looked at your career journey, right? Like you were at a company called MamRam, right? Like,
yes.
I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but yeah, one of the things that you mentioned there was bringing crazy ideas to life. That's really the essence of innovation, especially in AI. What's a crazy idea that you've seen today that AI is helping bring to life?
Yeah, so in my perspective at least, and it's just my biased perspective, because I really like this domain that AI is attempting to solve, because it has a lot of reasoning in it, and it's also very close to what we do in taxes, is seeing the new innovation that was posted by DeepMind last week, releasing alpha proof and showing that their algorithm or system, it's a whole system, it's not just one model, was actually able to get the equivalent of a silver medal in the International Mathematical Olympiad. So they were actually able to solve mathematical problems in the highest order of complexity possible, get the silver medal in that. And not only they were able to do that on problems that are well defined, actually part of the system is making something that's unstructured into formulating it as a problem and only then solving it. So it's taking a problem that is just vaguely defined, decomposing it, applying rules, applying math, and then coming up with an answer that wins you a silver medal. So that's amazing, and it's one step further towards reasoning, and it reminds me a lot of what we do in April, which is reading the tax law with AI, which is basically a bunch of math in the end. Unlike traditional math, sometimes in taxes it's math that does not make sense at all, because they have all these crazy loops and patches that were built throughout the years where they didn't really think about what came before that, and you have to take it into account, but still very similar problems.
That's interesting because when you start at April, I'm assuming you start with the technical team and founders, you have a vision, and you bring in the engineers who obviously got the technical knowledge to build anything. But then what you're solving is tax, right? So tax knowledge. Did anyone in your team already have background with tax software? And if not, how did you bridge that gap? You need to get the domain knowledge to your team to understand. I think the tax code is 3,000 pages, well, 4,000 pages, but then overall, I think I've heard it's 60, 70,000. I've never looked at it. But yeah, how did you bridge that gap between domain knowledge and your engineers?
Yeah, sure. So we did something that if I look back at what we did, I'm kind of happy with it, but I can't say it was intentional. So we did it at something like 2 steps. The first step is that we've started with people that had no experience in tax software, but with people that had experience with software and people that had experience with tax, right? So the software engineers and the product folks interviews the tax domain experts, and okay, so this is how I prepare someone's taxes. This is what clients usually want from me to solve their taxes, file it, optimize it, so on, so on. And then we thought about everything that we need to do in order to get there, to solve it efficiently, to solve it in the technology that was available in 2021 when we started the company, and what's the best way of doing that. And we came up with something that apparently was extremely different than anything in the industry. Now, after our first MVP and first journey to market, once we wanted to start growing and iterate and perfecting this product, we brought on people with tax software experience, which helped us really bring it to perfection and accuracy that's on par and even higher than the industry. And they were all amazed at like, what the hell is going on here? I've never seen this tech stack and this level of tooling that you've built and all of the capabilities that you have here. That's like nowhere in the industry. And empowering those new tax professionals and people that know tax software with those tools that they never thought was possible enables us to go really fast and create a lot more innovation.
That is interesting. So your team just went out and found CPAs and tax prep companies and said, "Hey, we're building a software. We want to talk to you guys and partner you with our software."
Yeah, it sounds a little crazy, I know, but
it is because right, it is crazy just in terms of the execution of, but also brilliant, right? Because that's how you bridge the domain knowledge. So your team went and built this. Obviously, is at least in the US. They're the incumbents, right? You can't talk about tax preparation without talking about the incumbents that everyone has a love-hate relationship with. What's been different and unique in April's approaching tax prep and how you're implementing the AI models? And what's different from, let's say, a TurboTax or H&R Block?
Yeah, sure. Good question. So I'll start with the highest level thing, which is really product-wise. What we do in April is form an holistic experience around tax. So we don't only meet you once a year in April when you need to file your taxes, where it's far too late to actually do something impactful, but you just need to put the numbers in the right boxes. But we accompany you throughout the year in order to save you the big bucks and actually optimize your taxes. While doing that, we collect data, so when end of year comes, it's a lot easier for you to file with us we cut the friction down dramatically. Your data is already pre-filled. And then you have this like cycle throughout the year. Let's optimize your paycheck. Let's optimize your taxes. And in the end of the year, we'll file for you. Now, the second thing is our strategy of how we go to market and how we meet clients, which is doing embedded taxes. So we want to be in your bank and in your payroll and in your financial app, because that's where you make the financial decisions. And it's important to meet you at that point because that's where you need to optimize your taxes. And also, this institution usually has the data of the finances that they manage for you. So they feed it to April so we can pre-fill and pre-populate a lot of the interview questions and save you all this hassle of gathering all the data yourself. Now, the last thing is how we actually build the product and what's in it, which I can say, TLDR, it's just personalized as hell and cutting a lot of friction. We personalize in real time based on every new input that we learn about you. If it's from a file you uploaded using OCR, if it's from a question you answered, if it's data that we got from your bank or so on. In real time, we update the representation of you behind the scenes and personalize your experience. So we ask you 0 redundant tax questions. So you don't get this like 9-hour long interview you get in TurboTax, but you get something like a 20-minute experience, which is a lot easier. And that's all powered by AI.
I can see the difference because as a tax filer, this is something that you can probably explain to the average American and they will understand. I am one of those folks who just show up in April, open up, a tax prep software.
Aren't we all?
Exactly. Yeah. Then have that panic of the last minute but I have friends who do that throughout the year and they manage things manually. But just as a consumer, right? I can already see the value where as long as it's integrated with the apps that I'm already using. And at the end of the year, if I can get a snapshot, you convinced me, right? And I haven't even tested the software. I only see the website, right? I can see the USB there. So today we have all the open source models, which means kind of the playing field is leveled because everyone and anyone can have access to the open source model. Now you can go customize models, but that brings a lot more complications. What sort of AI models are you primarily using? Are they custom models that you build, or are you using open source models, but it's just in how you implement them and then use them that's different compared to others?
So the frustrating answer is that it's a combination. And more than that, it's even a combination of LLMs and traditional machine learning models. And if you look at one of the hardest problems that we solve with AI, which is taking tax law, like legal documents, and translating them into actual code that we can apply to your data in the tax software in an optimized manner, then this process is not just a one LLM fits all process. Just put the form here, we'll create a code and we'll run it all for you. Unfortunately, that way, like if it was so, it would have been extremely easy to build tax software. But it's sort of an entire system with around 20 moving pieces. Some of them are LLMs, some open source, some not. And lots the LLMs use, we usually most RAG architecture, like a retrieval augmented generation, where we curate our own data set of answers and personalize the usage of the LLM by injecting relevant examples into the prompts. And there's a lot of components which are just pure engineering. And you generate code, then you need to run it, you need to test it, you need to run it against your system and against mock data and seeing that it all functions correctly, because taxes need to be 100% accurate. You can't make mistake one every 100 users, just not doable. So there's tons of guardrails that we put basically everywhere, so it will be accurate, and that creates the system that we use, which took us around 3 years to perfect, starting with small boxes and the rest done manually, and then slowly automating more parts and getting more boxes to be AI instead of humans, basically.
Got it. Got it. Well, so the one interesting part there is, so obviously you've got this combination, right? A complex combination of models and systems and guardrails in the background. And April today is selling to both consumers who can do that and also to institutions and banks. So with institutions and banks, I can see if you're talking to someone technical on their end and explaining all of this in the background, and it's easier for them to get that buy-in because they are knowledgeable about the models and they're knowledgeable about the guardrails and everything. How do you convince the average consumer that this AI software is just actually going to not make mistakes and not have them show up the next year and be slapped with a big fine? How do you convince the consumer?
Yeah, that's a really hard part everywhere in fintech, healthcare, legal tech. And we actually use a lot of user research and surveys that we personally run on tech software and mocks and copy and icons to make people confident that what you're getting is tested, it's secure, it's accurate. We provide guarantees on accuracy. If it's not accurate by up to this much, then you can send it back to us and we'll compensate you. And we try to put all of these guarantees really in the forefront, even like on the landing page for the app. So you will know that we got you covered. We're not just leaving you with a bot that can spit out random stuff. We're there with you all along the way, and we'll make sure that this experience is a success and you get an accepted return in the end of the process.
Okay. Do you also see cases where the AI hasn't, because most of the industries, AI does a phenomenal job, but there's always those edge cases where something slips through. Do you usually see cases like that where the refund wasn't right or the AI missed something? And then how do you take that information and then feed it back into the loop and continue learning and also make sure that that customer is not affected?
Yeah, definitely. So I split that into two parts. There's the AI that is mostly used in the back office in order to build the tax software. Then after it's validated, it's static. And then there's the AI, which is used in the front end, basically to personalize the user experience in real time. Now, those go through very different processes and have a different margin of error that is allowable. So the one that's done in the back office is more aimed at improving significantly the velocity of tax pros and software engineers, so they can focus on the 5% of extremely hard tax cases and get the 95% done out of the box, versus the one that's in the forefront that is very careful of not even reaching into something that might be problematic for the user or might have a mistake in it. And the sort of support bots that we have to accompany you online in real time always have like an offload to a human in the end, where you can do that. We still see very high success rates with solving all of your cases with the bot alone, but we definitely monitor everything that falls back into human support, trying to learn from those. Is there a bug? Is there a bug in the software? Is there a bug in the bot itself? Do we need to add more data for it to be more accurate? And often the answer lies in the data, that either you need to insert more positive examples for something or more negative example for a pattern that you don't want to see anymore. But that's like 80% of the power, in my humble opinion, is in tuning the data and the positive and negative examples that you feed to these models.
Do you just focus on the tax code? Do you also look to the rest of the internet, like forums and Reddit and all those to take answers? Or is there strict line in the sand where you say, no, this is really important, but this is only what we train on, and we're not going to touch anything out there?
Yeah, so it's actually a little counterintuitive, but there is definitely a strict line in the sand where we say these things we don't touch, and we use in the RAG architecture with an extremely higher importance only the curated data sets that we want the agent to be trained on, which is a really, really big differentiator. And you practically need a content person full time just doing that, like iterating on the agent and curating the data, iterating on the data, so that the agent is really accurate, not just to Texas, but to Texas in April, to what April supports, to the functionality that April offers, to how do you reset your password? It's not a text question, but it's something that's going to be asked, and we need to know where this button lies in our UX and things like that. So I'd say that, again, most of the work is actually on curating the data and not the model itself. And it's really important for us to put the guardrails on how to do that right, which we actually see pretty good success with. There was last year an article in Time magazine about the success of chatbots in text featuring April.
I'm gonna have to go and read that article. Okay, let's switch lanes a little bit now. Another shift that's come today is the glut of AI models that come out every single day. Right? You can't go on LinkedIn, you can't go on Twitter without feeling left behind because something new came up, you haven't implemented it. As a CTO, right? How do you manage expectations with whether the CEO or the board? Because it's very easy to get caught in the hype cycle and go, hey, why are we not using this model? Why are we not using this new thing that just came out yesterday? Right? How do you manage the expectations?
Definitely. So I try personally to focus the conversation on the product and how we can make the product better or more performant or smarter, and whether we see a significant ROI in testing or experimenting with this new model. Sometimes the answer is right, like updating from GPT-3 to GPT-4, that's a game changer. But with the things that you see every day, often it's not the case, and I really put a lot of importance in seeing data and seeing statistics and seeing benchmarks of people experimenting with those models and leaderboards and trying to see if there's a significant jump in accuracy in a task that's similar to the task that we're actually trying to solve.
Got it. Let's talk about cloud costs, because that's also another topic that's been very, very in front of this AI hype cycle, just because we've got a GPU shortages and cloud costs are rising. I think even yesterday I read that even OpenAI was spending around $5 billion on their cloud costs and might run out of cash at the end of the year, right? Some companies, or we see data that some companies even overspending by 40% or more on cloud costs. How do you manage this? If there's one advice that you would give to other CTOs in managing the cloud cost complexity, what would it be?
I'd say first understand the trade-off and exactly when in your journey it's important to look at the trade-off between business outcomes and cloud costs. Sometimes in an earlier startup's journey, it's okay to have costs that are not sustainable for the long run and eat up your margin too much because it's not the most important problem to solve for your phase of the journey. And as you grow, when you need to optimize margins, it becomes more and more important. At that point, there's an entire industry these days of FinOps and trying to optimize financial operations costs, mostly focused on cloud costs, using the right tools, right architectures, moving things that you can do offline to be offline instead of online, and then reusing the same answers, caching, so on. There's a lot of tricks, but I wouldn't start them too early. I would only do them at the right time in order to not, waste focus on what you can delay to later on.
Got it. Got it. What's your take on alternate clouds? So we've got the big hyperscalers, and as of today, we've got all these other alternate clouds that have popped up in the last few years. Salad is one of them. We're a distributed cloud. So what should CTOs be thinking about when choosing an alternate cloud provider?
Yeah. So I personally like to balance out things that are really well proven, common across all of the industry, and a few bets on tech that looks amazing and looks like the next big thing, and let's be ahead of the curve by trying that. So trying to balancing those two things. And I try to do that by understanding if this new cool tech is going to solve a product requirement that is uniquely something that April finds really, really important. If it does, it's worth a shot, and it's worth an effort on trying to adopt it early on.
Got it.
And sometimes it succeeds, sometimes it doesn't, but that's, it's part of the journey.
We see it a lot because Salad is full of consumer GPUs. So we've got 2 million GPUs on the network, but they're all consumer GPUs. So it's very use case based. Sometimes, we'll see the CTOs come in and go, oh, your GPU prices are absolutely low. I need to cut cloud costs. And so let's try this. But then the use case doesn't work on a 4090 or 3090. Whereas other times, wait, it's somebody spending so much money for A100 and H100, and they come in and go, wait, I can run this on a 4090 or 3090. So people understanding the difference of what consumer GPUs can do and also how it fits with their use case. We're still learning about that, of how CTOs make that decision. Yeah. Okay. A couple other questions. Let's see. What's a controversial opinion about AI that you have? If there's one opinion that, we'll have the people take their pitchforks and come at you, what would it be? If you have one.
I think I do have one. I know if it's that controversial. It's more controversial for people with a similar background to mine, which spent a lot of their career as data scientists. So my opinion is that this role called data scientist is going to slowly shrink into becoming something probably not going to remain in existence for longer the way we know it, as the power is being shifted to engineers really, really fast in everything that has to do in AI. We see that with language, vision, and video. We haven't seen that yet with the more traditional machine learning models like trees for structured data, but I'm sure it will come there as well. And suddenly, an engineer that has some analytical skills, but has a lot stronger engineering capabilities and using an API in your backend or front end can get a head start and an extremely faster velocity in building an AI system than a data scientist. Sometimes you don't even need a data scientist. And this is vastly different than what I would say if you asked me this question 4 years ago.
Got it. And then are there any commonly held beliefs about building engineering teams that you think are wrong in today's AI era? As a CTO, that's something that's on top of your mind always, is building out the right team. And what has shifted in terms of commonly held beliefs?
I'll start with the thing that I think is more obvious and optimistic, which is that the entry barriers for entering to tech in general and of learning new tech is significantly lower. If you know a programming language, it's a lot easier to work with ChatGPT to adapt your knowledge and understand how to do something in, let's say, Java instead of Go. Okay, so the entry barrier and the requirement to look for specific people that are amazing in Go versus people that only know Java is something that becomes less and less frequent. The second thing, which is more controversial, is that I think that's also like that the utility of academics and academy in general in companies that build applications, not companies that do research, that's something else. In companies that build applications become less and less significant as you have tools that are very good at doing research and you have very strong foundational models that already code a lot of knowledge. So velocity becomes much higher when you hire more engineers versus academics. And if you even take it a step further, then the requirement for formal education, like a degree from an important university or not, I think becomes less and less important in today's industry. And I try not to be biased in it and not to look at it when I look at CVs.
Got it. It's interesting to see the mix of people coming in, and the traditional barriers have been blown away with AI and the internet and today's education. So yeah, it's always good to, we also have the same belief that people's backgrounds are not really a representation of what they can do. Okay, so you're very soon going to be known as the man who solved traffic and taxes. What's next?
Fingers crossed.
What's next?
Oh my God.
If you could solve another problem that people hate, what would it be?
Yes. I would say, you're putting me on the spot here, but I would say education. I now I don't want to become more controversial, but let's say it in a nice manner. I think it's not done in the optimal manner these days. And the level of education that you can get from different background is also very different. And I think using the technology that exists in the last few years, mainly LLMs and things that are going to improve further and further, than doing personalized, accurate, supportive education is something that can be super impactful for people. And maybe this experience of going to school doesn't need to be that bad.
All right. I think we've got 15 minutes left. If you want to do kind of like the rapid fire chat GPT thing, that'll take 5 minutes. We can test that. If not, we can finish it here. What are your thoughts?
I say let's test it.
Okay. Yeah. So I use Bing Copilot because I'm not paying for chat GPT. So what I'm going to do here is I've done the questions, and that's based on my research, right? I read about you, I read about April and all that. Now I want to see how AI will do it. So I'm simply going to type in, I am interviewing Daniel Marcous, CTO of April, for a podcast. I want to ask him 10, let's say fun rapid fire. You're more than welcome to give me any input on how we can do this. I want to ask him 10 fun rapid fire questions.
Yes, no answer, or it's open question?
Open question. I think open question. Yeah, open questions are, in my opinion, much more fun because that's when you get the real insights.
Yeah.
Okay. How does that look? Should we test it?
Let's do it.
Okay. What does AI say? It's got a mix here. Should we go through this? All right. I'm gonna start the timer. This is rapid fire. Okay. Let's start. Ready, set, go. What's your favorite tech gadget of all time?
I think one of these tag locators, either like a credit card locator or something like that.
Oh yeah. Very, very helpful. If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be?
Isaac Newton.
Nice. What's the last book you read?
Sapiens, the short tale of human history.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't read it, but it's on my list.
It's awesome.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee every day.
Man after my own heart. Yes. What's your favorite programming language?
Um, Python right now changes every couple of years.
What was it before?
R. I was a classic data scientist, really like R.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you could instantly learn any new skill, what would it be?
Languages, Japanese, something like that would be cool.
Yes, I can't wait to see what AI can do there. Because I also struggle with languages. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, I don't do karaoke.
Well, if you had to, if someone said do karaoke or your cloud bill's gonna go 10x.
Oh man, it's probably gonna be something in Hebrew, which is my original mother tongue, and be one of these old 90s rock songs in Hebrew, which I don't even know how to say in English.
I know what I'm gonna look up on YouTube after this interview. Okay, question number 8. If you weren't in tech, what career would you pursue?
Probably something in research of physics, something like that.
Got it. Okay.
Used to love that.
What's your favorite movie of all time?
Pulp Fiction.
Okay. What's your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
Watch anime TV shows like One Piece.
Nice. All right. I think AI did a decent job. Actually, it did a better than decent job here with the questions.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Although I think these could be questions that are fit for anyone. So next time I'm going to try this, I'm going to put in maybe like a LinkedIn profile link or something in cool. there and have AI read it.
More personalized.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was great. Thank you, Daniel, for joining us for a fantastic conversation. Can't wait to try April AI for taxes. I'm sold already, and I hope to see April continue making tax easy for everybody.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It was a great experience. Love this game. I'm gonna adopt it.
There we go. Yeah, likewise. All right. Have a good one, Daniel.
Cool. You too. Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.